Let's call the meeting to order for August 10th, 2022. We'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Welcome, everyone. Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, minutes for the last meeting, which must have been
All right.
the 3rd.
I went through these, so I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of August 3rd.
Second that.
All in favor? Motion carries. Great. Jennifer, Town Administrative update.
Just a few things for you. First is to let you know that the audit is going to start on August 30th. They expect to be here from the 30th to September 2nd. So that will be starting at the end of the month. They have sent us a list of items, so we are working together to get those uploaded for them. Also, Karen from RHR Smith will be here on Monday to offer some more support and work on some of the bank recs and some of the things when we had the gap between the treasurer to help catch up on those items. So those dates, if you are interested in speaking to anybody.
What time will she be here?
9.
Do those dates cover the school department, or is that on a separate schedule?
Yeah, we're not notified when the school is being audited. Certainly could ask, but they don't normally communicate that with us.
Historically, what involvement has the town had in that audit process?
I mean, I'm not your treasurer, so I mean,
No, but
yeah, I mean,
perhaps
as far as I know, none.
None?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, the previous treasurer has never shared or indicated, or, I mean, it's a different auditor, different dates, and, I mean, there may be an occasional question answered, but she never spoke of anything to do with the school.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm sorry, what else you got?
So the rec director reached out and asked me if someone else could be appointed to the committee, and before I created the appointment, which would go on next week, because I kind of need to know how many committee members you're looking to have on there. I'm not counting her currently. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
7, 8, I'm sorry, 8, 9 being her. So that's, I'm not sure how many more members you want to have on that committee. If you want to just use them as volunteers and kind of see what direction, but my records show that there's 9, including her.
8 is more than enough for any committee. It seems to me, I don't know how others feel about it, but the more people you get, the more difficult it is to manage everyone, and actually the committee members begin to get dissatisfied when you get too many people on a committee.
Right.
So are they expected to play any other role? Are they there for anything other than providing advice and guidance?
I don't know. She just sent me one message to say, would she like to appoint John Doe to the committee? And I did tell her I was going to reach out because I felt like the committee was full. I mean, there's nothing to say that someone can't come to the meetings and participate,
Sure.
Participate and run others, but I mean, it's a big committee.
It is.
Yeah, no, I think Tom's right. I think you get too many people on there. I mean, we've got an odd number now, correct?
Yeah, with Sam, with the
Sam,
director,
so
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, I
And
think
what they should be looking for now with the volunteer part of
Right.
it, they've got a committee.
typically that committee, you only had 7 on it before.
Yeah, I mean, 5 to 7,
Yeah.
5 to 7, yeah.
Well, we got the 8, and
Okay,
you
so
know, if
we'll
something
leave it
opens
at
up, we
that.
can reconsider it at that point, but for right now, let's leave it the way it is.
Perfect. And next is a notice that we received from Saco River, just notifying us that Saco River requires that copies of all applications for permits or variances be on file at the clerk's office. So they recently received applications from the following. First is Corey Steele and Nicholas Poisson, looking for an after-the-fact permit to install a replacement septic system no closer than 110 feet from Balch Lake waterline. The second one is Michelle Fowler, seeking a permit to pave an existing gravel driveway and deposit crushed stone no closer than 180 feet from the normal water line in Balch Lake. So full applications are found on file, and looks like they're just scheduled to be heard on Wednesday, the 24th.
Okay. So, Do we have to make these, I just
No,
need
it's-
to understand the background. Do we have to provide them
No, we don't
copies
do
of these
anything.
permits?
They're
So-
notifying us
So these permits are filed with them?
with them, correct?
Oh. And that's
I mean-
because of the watershed issues?
Yes, I mean, for the driveway, for example, we don't do issue permits, do we, David, for driveways? So we don't require permits, but clearly Saco River does.
Ah.
The other one, though, the septic, we would have
thought we do-
required
I
a
thought we
septic
do
permit.
require-
Septic permit, there should be a,
That we would require a permit on. But for,
I
so,
would think they'd probably come in to get the permit. That's probably how Saco River got involved.
Possibly.
so we don't enforce that in any way to make sure that somebody files for a permit with them?
Not that I'm aware of, I mean, that
Okay,
would be
so
a.
if somebody
code
does
question.
or doesn't, it's really on the homeowner to
Right, as far as I
do
know.
that. Okay.
And I thought we were doing driveway permits.
To pave your driveway?
No, just a driveway.
Just a
Okay,
driveway. They
So it's
come-
not the paving.
New driveways.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, this is an existing, she just.
All right, so
didn't
something,
have-
she just wants to pave it. All right.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anything else?
All right, a couple more.
Okay.
So, just letting you know that looks like the siding is just about done. If not done, looks like they're picking up. If you haven't had a chance, go out and take a walk around the building. They've done a phenomenal job. It looks great. They've been pleasant to work with, clean, friendly. I think it looks good, but that's just my opinion.
I think it looks great.
They worked through that really bad heat, they did all right.
Yes, they did. We did leave this door open for them so they could come in and have the lunch and enjoy the AC a little bit, so.
Are you going to be talking to the principal there anytime?
Yes.
Could you ask him if there's any kind of treatment that could be done to the existing siding to kind of clean it up?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Especially over here, it had gone quite a while and
Right.
it's still kind of
bad,
dingy
yeah.
looking. He may know of something that
Absolutely.
would be good for that. All right.
I mentioned to, I think, Tom, on our way out last week, so, we've had some input and comments regarding the town's website. We know that it needs to be updated. We know that, every time we go to start the big project, that, something happens in town and it gets pushed down the list. We do have money for it in our computer and technology lines. We've continued to roll it forward in an effort to do it. When we were leaving last week, I was having a conversation with Dan Crampsit. Now, he's your backup camera person. He's also backup IT to Mike. He's got over 30 years of experience in the IT field, including technical work. He runs his own web pages and runs an email server, does management through his company. What I would propose to the board is to consider hiring him at an hourly rate to write the RFP, manage the bids as they come in, present them to you, look at designs, presentations from this company. It's not ever gonna be his company. He's not interested in creating it or doing it. He's gonna do the legwork to oversee it. Come to you guys. Most of these companies that rebuild websites and create websites, it doesn't always include bringing the old information over, and Acton, unlike a lot of towns, has information all the way back to '06. So we've got a lot of history to bring over, and sometimes that's where the cost comes from. So whether that's part of their bid project or not, he could, if nothing else, bring it over. He can eventually train staff as well. It would expedite getting a new website going.
Good.
Thoughts?
Has he estimated what the cost of this might be?
I haven't asked him that yet, because before I got too far, certainly I didn't want to overstep. I wanted to speak to you first. We
Do
can-
either of you know him well,
Yeah.
or has he been working here for a while?
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
He worked
So-
at,
I mean, he's doing
he worked
the-
at Frisbee doing,
Yeah, it's all he does is computer work, but he's the one that our APAT director has editing and uploading currently to our channel.
I think it'd probably be a good idea to get some sort of idea, a rough idea what the
Of
cost
hours
is.
it might take.
Let's
No,
let's
just a
have him
rough
submit a
idea.
proposal.
Yeah.
Scope out the scope of his
Cover.
services, how many hours he thinks it might be.
Okay,
And I think personally, it's wise to have somebody in this role, because otherwise it's gonna fall on you.
right, and that's the reason it
And
hasn't been done.
that's probably the
Just
reason why it hasn't been
prior-
done.
Absolutely.
So I think this makes sense to have somebody to do this. Whether he's the right person or not, I don't know. I don't really know him that well, but let's get a proposal and we can look at it and decide what to do.
That's legit.
Next, we got a request from, I think it's Azure, A-Z-U-R-E. Does that sound right? You might know what this, I read it from you. So, I'm writing to request the Acton Town Hall allow Azure Standard truck to stop here at the town hall once a month to drop off food to waiting customers. Azar Standard is a company based in Oregon that ships organic food in bulk or smaller amounts to drops like this all over the country. Over the past months, with the cost of food rising so drastically, more and more people have turned to cooking from scratch and order from them to save money on food. Personally, I have been a customer for some time and have been meeting the truck in Hollis. Recently, the drop has grown quite a bit, making the pickup last longer due to the number of people coming to the drop. Since moving to Acton, I have reached out to other local people who are interested in joining the area for a drop, and the response has been very positive. This drop would be used by people within 25 miles of Acton. Please consider allowing the truck to make a stop here once a month. I will personally be the drop manager and be at each scheduled drop. This comes from Heidi Barker on Loop Road. So really, people are logging in, they're buying their own oats and grains, and they're just meeting the truck over there and he's divvying it up. It's a delivery.
How long they here?
She doesn't say. It's a good question. How long? I mean, I would imagine it
Is this
depends
a
on.
for-profit company?
Yes. I mean, yeah, I mean, they're buying the goods, so it's gotta be.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I know of, like Hello Fresh and other
The only
companies that do
problem
this.
with this situation is if you allow this
Yeah.
one company to do it, and we have to allow, what happens when the next one wants to do it, and whether or not it's gonna affect town hall parking, and, you say a 25-mile radius of people coming. We don't know how many people are gonna be parked in this parking lot either. I don't know if it's a good idea.
Could you do it down there?
Do you,
though? Keep it-
maybe I could have her come in and meet with the chair next Wednesday during his office hours, get a little more information and
That's a
ask
good
some of those
idea.
follow-up
Yeah.
questions?
You know, where she's asked, I think we ought to extend that courtesy, but I understand your point of view on this.
Well, I mean-
Kim,
Yeah, you don't want this blocked off, but I was just thinking, what
I
about
think
down
Well,
there?
especially
we
where
just-
it's a for-profit company, I don't think we want it. If it was a nonprofit, it was doing some kind of social, providing some kind of benefit to
I mean, I'm saying
the
they're
needy in
they're
the town,
profit,
I'd think differently
but
about
I
it.
mean, I guess I could be wrong, but I mean, I have to believe if they're selling food, wouldn't that make them?
Those are expensive services.
Right, that's what-
Generally, those are
I
not
feel like they
cheap.
have to be. for
I look
profit.
at it no different than having a food truck out front of you.
That's right, yeah.
We got,
Right, and then we did have somebody just before the planning board, maybe he'll ask to park there to.
Well, why don't we invite her, give her an opportunity if she wants to come, and I'm happy to meet with her next week.
So if you put together any questions that you have, at least we can ask her next week, and then you can make a decision. Just maybe think about it for, a couple days. But I think and we probably should check to see if there's any liability on our end if we allow it.
well, I mean, we had the trailer and stuff parking out here. We're not allowed that anymore.
Right.
So, because that's a business on its own,
Right.
doing business in our parking lot, it would be the same thing.
And then the flip side of that is I think about when Mr. Kryzak used to do the food boxes, we let him do
That's what I
that.
was just
Different
gonna
though, that was all volunteer.
Here, yeah.
That wasn't a for-profit.
I would feel different,
About that one,
I'd be open to that, but nonprofit.
I mean, we can just, tell her we don't think it's a good fit, and we don't need to bring her in if we think that,
Huh?
I don't think it's a good idea.
Kim?
I don't know. I mean, it's nice that, people are trying to save money and,
Are there any questions you'd like answered in order to, feel more comfortable about a yay and nay on this?
probably not, probably nay.
I just look at the precedent.
I mean,
we're
I
setting.
understand, right, I know we
and
just
that's a
said you
good reason,
can't,
I think she'll understand that.
we
Okay.
just
Tom, what are
said
you
you
thinking?
can't.
I
It's
have
not
no
for
interest
prof.
in this. My reaction is no. So I would say no. Do we want to?
I mean, if I was, being a municipality, it's kind of a different deal, I think. If they go and see someone who's got a big parking lot in town, I'm not gonna name any names, they might be interested in something like that.
Right.
But I just think that if we start allowing companies to come in and use this as a centralized
Where
spot
will it
for them
go
to
from
work
there?
business out of, then we're gonna have to start letting other businesses do the same thing, and then it could get out of control, and I just.
It's
don't
my
think
understanding that we're not immune from liability associated with vehicles. Is that
I
right?
believe that's correct.
So I wouldn't touch this. Okay?
All right, I'll take care of it.
Good.
That's all I have. Yep.
That's all you have?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you. Department head committee chair updates? Are there any? No updates. Okay. Liaison updates. I had an opportunity to meet with the chair of the Warrant and Finance Committee and the Capital Improvement Committee today and just talk about what their agenda might be for the coming year. I also had an opportunity to meet with Robin and talk about some personnel matters. I have not had any contact with the fire department.
All right.
Kim?
I'm next. I'm still working on stuff for the rec committee. School hasn't started up yet, so I probably won't have anything for another month or so. I'm meeting with Mike from APAT next Wednesday. So Wednesday night, I should have kind of a, follow-up from that. And the same thing with the cemetery committee. We don't really have,
Yeah, they know they need to schedule a meeting, so
Okay.
we've asked them to.
Okay, roads, I haven't met with those guys in a little while. Code enforcement, we're still working on a land use secretary. The Mary Grant, we have a thing, I think it's on the 28th there, so nothing with them. Conservation and Forest Committee, I did meet with them the other night. We had a meeting, we had discussions on, they wanna, I guess, the website, they'd like to get something on our town website, and
Oh.
they,
Saying
what's
what?
that?
Saying what?
Well, they'd like to have something with a description of what their committee does,
Oh, okay.
what they've done,
Do they have something they're gonna present to us?
so, try it, I'm working on
I don't know
it.
if I was typing it,
Okay.
like, what do they do?
I think you'd have to assume they will.
Yeah, well, what it is they wanna come up with a description of what the committee members do and what their goals are and this and that. So, kinda like a job description. They wanna do that, along with, what they've done and their goals, all that. They had some, some of the committees from other towns or commissions or whatever. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna take all these towns and stuff, they're gonna take the little stuff in and out of it and kinda combine it together. And they wanna put something on our webpage. And I did tell them that we were kind of talking about working on revamping our whole webpage, so, that it would work good.
Yeah, we have room for them now if they want to.
Yeah.
I assume there was an ordinance that created that committee?
Well, so.
So that must define what their role is?
Were you at that? You must have been there, because we did talk about ordinances.
No, I wasn't.
I'm just joking around.
No, I-
No, so as we were talking about it, we did talk about creating an ordinance.
There is not one.
Oh, okay.
Because there is no ordinance for that committee, and so my recommendation was to come up with their webpage thing at the same time. They're gonna come up with their job description, which then we would be able to take that and create an ordinance with it.
Great.
So, they're in the midst of doing that at the moment, so the next meeting, hopefully they'll have some sort of a head start on that. So I told them to kind of create their job description, hand it to us, and then we would look it over and do what we needed to do, whether or not it sufficed to put on the warrant or not.
Okay,
And they're coming to your meeting next Wednesday.
Yes, they are.
great. Before we move on, any comment about any of that? Public comment? Okay. On to old business. CEO complaint inquiry form.
So
This
last-
was something we handed out at our last meeting?
Yes,
Great, so we're finally gonna get to this and approve it, right?
the whole,
All right. There is the form and then the policy,
correct.
correct? Any comments on the form?
I think it's all good.
Okay.
The only thing that I found was
Yeah.
What'd you
the
find?
mailing address, I don't know why, no PO box. I mean, if they have a PO box as their mailing address, that should be allowed. I'm not sure why it says that.
On the,
On the
Yeah,
complaint
yeah,
form, I mean, if you
PO
want
box.
physical address, you can write physical address, but we really shouldn't say mailing address, no PO box, because what
Yeah,
if
because
that's
a
my
lot of
mailing
people are.
a lot of people
running
have it, yeah.
So.
so you
Just
want
mailing
to ask for
addresses.
both,
Right, so
have
I'm
them
gonna-
be able
I'm
to
just gonna
designate
adjust that
both.
line.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
With regard to the policy, in the first paragraph, the beginning of the second line, I'm not familiar with the use of the word firm in this case. What is that? That seems like an odd choice of, any anonymous forum will not be accepted. Is it any anonymous inquiry?
Perfect.
Okay. And with,
Or complaint, or just inquiry?
yeah, inquiry, complaint / complaint, because the form is
Inquiry,
slash
complaint,
complaint.
yeah, I'd slash
Although
it.
this says complaint policy, it probably ought to say, like, inquiry slash complaint policy, right?
This one
No,
is
it says-
slashed, right? Inquiry
that's-
slash complaint form.
No, I'm looking at the policy, it only says complaint. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Citizen inquiry.
Oh, geez, what's the matter? Okay,
So I thought
thank
you got a
you.
different one.
All right, on the third paragraph,
Yes.
correspondence can be received by written letter, email, and should it say with the citizen inquiry complaint form? In other words, you need the form.
Yeah, we can't require it, just like freedom of information, we have a form that we request that they fill out, but if they make a written request, pursuant to Maine's freedom of information, you have to take that letter in lieu of the form.
You do-
So-
oh, okay.
You do, so this really should say correspondence can be received by written letter, email, or preferably through the citizens.
Okay, yes, all right.
There you
As
go.
long as it's coming in writing and it's signed, we prefer they use the form, but, which will go directly to the code officer for review, okay?
Okay. Anything else on this?
So do you want to make that change?
Yeah, I would say, as you...
Yeah, I'll make some changes for next week to sign. Do you want to put anything?
Can we just approve this subject to those changes?
You can, I gotta make the changes for you to
Well,
sign.
we'll have to read it out, read
Yeah.
the changes out,
Yeah.
so.
Do you want to, put anything in here that anybody making a citizen inquiry or complaint will have a follow-up within 10 days, 14 days, or do you want to put anything in there on the other end? Because that has come up.
Yeah, it has.
I personally think
Within
there
a
ought to be a
reasonable amount of-
required follow time within,
I mean,
but
under
what that
freedom of
timeframe is, I don't
information,
know.
we have to be, by law, have to acknowledge it within 3 days, and we have to respond with X amount of days. I mean,
Yeah,
if they're doing what you want and filling out the form, they should have something.
they should
knowing-
get a
Maybe
response.
they should hear something within 7 days.
Whatever,
Is
I'm
that-
not here to discuss.
Well, they may not
14.
get a resolution within.
Well, I'm not talking about a
like
resolution, but I'm
just
talking
a,
about
yeah, response.
a response. What do you got, what do you think, 7
Yeah, I
or
would say
14?
at least 5 days, a week's worth of time.
Okay.
If you can't get a response back in a week, that wouldn't be very good.
So
yeah,
what
7
kind of
But it all
response?
depends too. I mean, is it from the time of receipt of their complaint? If it's mailed, how do you do that? How do you
Postmark.
know- Postmark, yeah, postmark, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I would do 7 days from, when received.
So we want to say that the code enforcement office will attempt to respond within 5 business days, or, I mean, how do you want to, what do you want to say?
Yeah, 5 business days. I think they got a week's worth of time to do it.
Long
I'm
enough?
not, the
I just feel
attempt is
like-
kind of squishy. I think
I'm
they
not
ought to
sure
be
he's gonna be
required-
able to do
I think
5
they ought to
days.
be, yeah,
just feel
but
like
5
2
days.
The difference is this, it's not a resolution in 5 days, it's that they've received the complaint, all they have to do is shoot an email, a phone call, or something.
acknowledging
Within
it.
5 days,
Yeah,
it's not a big
acknowledging
deal.
that you've gotten it.
Just an acknowledgement.
Not that
We're
it's
saying
taking,
that they'll acknowledge it within 5 days, and then we're leaving it at that. We're not saying that they'll
Because
ever
a
hear.
resolution, you can't do a resolution, because you don't know what the problem is and what the resolution, how long it would take to solve it.
So will the person ever know of the resolution? Is there anything that's going to require a follow-up?
I think they
I think at
should.
that point there, it's not really, if the next door neighbor complains about their neighbor, it's not the town of Acton's responsibility to call them, and say, yeah, we got them, it's,
All right, no, I'm
it is
just-
what it is.
Okay.
If they can contact and ask if there's been a resolution, right? That's on them.
Okay. Do you want to go back and rewrite that,
Yeah, I'm going to
Jennifer?
make a couple
Given
changes.
the-
So we'll get a
little
final
more change
signature
than I
next
thought.
week.
You're gonna
Okay.
take the P.O. box thing out of the,
Yeah.
yeah, just do mailing
Yep.
address.
so we're gonna do both these at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. The roofing bid. Bids or bid or?
Well,
what do
bids, we got 2, so.
We got 2, that's great.
Boy.
First one was hand-delivered with a nice little seal on it. Oh, and they used our form. It makes me so happy. All right. Okay, so we'll need to compare them. I'm just gonna give you a synopsis. So, proposed materials are saying see attached spec sheets, fastening materials, see attached spec sheets. Rating of insulation is NA, warranty details, everything is see attached. The warranty is for 10 years. Start date they can do is, October 11th, completion date, October 12th.
Wow.
This is Precision Roofing. It's a local company for over 20 years. And they've attached a contract with $14,000 as their proposal.
Okay.
The other one that came in via email. It did come in via email, so I know the company, but it's not, it's interesting it's not on here. This is from Scott's Roofing that is handling the siding. They've got a breakdown of the actual material: Metal Max galvanized coated steel, the major rib width, the exposed fasteners, what type they're using. They're saying they're gonna use the existing insulation, 40-year manufacturer warranty. They can do it in mid-September, about 4 days, $32,900. So, but give me a week to go over it with Jason and Adam. We'll figure out what materials, how they
Well,
cross-reference.
yeah, see if they're comparable,
Yeah.
and make sure
Yeah.
there's something that's not missing there, because there's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a big
difference there, money.
So we'll put
I
that
know the
back
one
on.
company, I mean, when they say one day, they'll do it one day.
Yeah.
There was a big difference in the warranty there. I don't, that would
One was a
suggest
40.
maybe.
10 years versus 40.
Yeah,
40, yeah.
that suggests there may be a difference in
Material.
material, but I don't know,
They've
maybe not.
attached a lot, so we'll
Yeah.
have to go through it.
Okay. All right, great. Well, we're making progress on that one. New business, appointments?
You have one appointment for the last opening on the cemetery committee.
Okay. You're all good with that, huh?
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion, we appoint Susan Doyle to the cemetery as a cemetery committee member until 6/30/2023.
I'll second that.
Any comment? All those in favor? Motion carries. Any other appointments, Jennifer?
No, sir.
Great. Fire chief search. As you all know, we had Rick announced he's taking a position in Sanford, and so we have to initiate a search for a new chief. There is a ordinance that kind of lays out, not kind of, but it clearly lays out a process, appointment of a committee and how that's populated and so on. Jennifer, would you mind reviewing that, please? And-
Sure.
Thank you.
So pursuant to the ordinance, Article 7 indicates that the 7 members, 3 are going to be active department members elected or appointed by the department. So we being my office, will create a posting looking for anyone interested from the fire department. The names will come to us. Once we have a list, the department will call a meeting and they will vote on those names. The Selectmen's liaison, which is going to be Tom. Warren and Finance Committee liaison, Dennis has called a meeting on August 22nd to determine the chair of the committee and set out liaisons for the year. So as I understand it, that evening we'll have the Warren and Finance liaison. The next one is a retired or active member of a municipal fire and rescue appointed by the Selectmen. So we'll also put out another advertisement looking for exactly that. We'll bring the names back to you. We're only going to advertise it. We're essentially, the last thing we're going to be waiting for is the Warren and Finance, so the farthest out. So we'll advertise ours for a couple of
How
weeks.
does that get advertised?
So honestly, it's 2022, so Facebook, social media, the website, cable channel. I'm probably not going to spend money on a newspaper ad. I mean, we'll, word of mouth.
Word's gonna get around.
Yeah, we'll post things around. If we get to the point that we, I don't think we're going to have a problem finding
Yeah.
a retired or active member, so.
Okay.
Member of the public to be selected by the other 6 members. So that's gonna be a separate list, and once we gain the first 6, we'll go into the first meeting and say, welcome, swear everybody in, and say, here's your list of public. And we'll do that without a camera, because that's, So in the meantime, so that's that, and it says, so it's getting our committee together. While that's happening, I'd like your permission to start advertising the fire chief position. It can be running simultaneously.
Sure, yeah.
So by the time we get the committee going, they can start looking at resumes. I emailed you all and printed for you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I've reviewed it, I don't see any changes. Does the board have any changes other than the date they want to consider? It's a pretty
There'd still
fresh.
be an opportunity if through the search process, there is suggestions for changes to the job description, there would still be an opportunity for some change to occur at that place. But I don't think there would be, but
Just the ad, this
it's
is the
just,
job
that's my point. It's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't close this off as
No.
being the
Right.
final.
Yeah,
It's-
because when we did the last hiring, we did a huge change to it. We went from a full-time to
Yeah.
a part-time.
Yeah.
And that's the board's intent, to keep it full, part-time and move forward as it is.
I'm sorry.
It's the board's intent to leave the position as it is, part-time, as
Yeah.
it's budgeted.
I don't think, yeah.
I think it worked well.
Are there minutes from the last search committee?
Probably not minutes, but it's on video.
Oh, it's all on video. Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right, so we'll get
Did
out.
we video that?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because we were going through resumes and
Even in the
stuff like
beginning, you
that.
didn't?
I don't believe
Okay, so
so.
maybe they're not, there's definitely not minutes.
No, because I know we didn't do video.
Where a majority of
because-
it's personnel, I guess that would make sense, so I take that back, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it probably shouldn't if you're discussing people, and, you know, the commission really is, you gotta keep that in mind as you're choosing people, not to put anything on anybody, but these are highly confidential, you know, and it shouldn't be discussed.
Okay, any questions on that, comments? Okay. North Star Planning Agreement.
So North Star is the company that was brought in actually 2 CEOs ago to assist the planning board with large projects that come in town. Essentially, they're used at the leisure of the CEO and planning board. This is an agreement that North Star sends us yearly. There's no real changes to the agreement other than the compensation. The principal planner did increase by $10 an hour, the planner by $5 an hour, the associate planner stayed the same. This is a first reading, so I'm just asking you to take it back and review it, and we'll make a decision next week.
Very good.
As a liaison, I'm gonna speak to Jason about whether or not this is what he wants to do,
Good. Good. And we'll,
and I'll report to you guys.
yeah,
We're gonna
we'll
find out
also,
about the
bring the planning board up to date
Yeah,
about
yeah.
all of this, so they're aware of it. Great, thank you. Good. All right, any comments, questions on that? Okay. Sand bid, boy, I have to think about that when
Yeah,
you
but
get
it is kind of
great
chilly
weather.
in this room, so it makes me feel like it's time. The road commissioners asked me to put this forward on an agenda. One of them want to come up. We can just talk about what last year's was and decide if they want to make any changes to it. It was pretty self-explanatory. It
Really not
is,
too early. I just did one of my snowplow contracts last week, so.
so what it says is the town of Acton is soliciting bids for up to 3,000 yards of 3/8-inch screened winter sand. Interested bidders must complete the form below and return it to the town hall no later than blah, blah, blah. Bids will not be accepted by the road commissioners. And we have a form that
One
basically,
road commissioner, no.
company name, contact person. We asked them to, please accept our bid, and they fill in how much the yard is, and then the other question that we added a few years back, because I think we had an issue, was, does your company have normal year-round business hours outside of routine weekends and holidays? And then they submit it. Pretty straightforward, gentlemen. Do you want to make any changes?
Want to do more?
More sand. We're pretty much almost empty down there.
So you want to do more sand?
Want to do more yardage.
More yardage.
How much did we actually use last year?
I'd say we went through probably all the 3,000 we put in and probably 1,000 we had left over from the year before. So probably about 4,000 yards last year.
Now, when you contract for this, do you have to take everything that you contract for? So it's, you know, whatever you need,
Yes.
as opposed to,
We just want to make sure that whoever's bidding on it has enough to
has the
cover.
capacity to.
So if we need
So
more.
if you made it 5,
Right.
for example, if you only need 2, that's all you're gonna pay for.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, myself, I think we could just put a unlimited amount.
Okay?
I mean, I don't think we have to bind ourselves to 5 either.
Well, they may want, I mean, they're gonna call and ask us roughly what we, I mean, we can
'Cause we don't
say
wanna
at
deal
least
with the
what we
price
normally
increase.
use.
Most of the places that we deal with will, should be able to supply us with 10,000 yards if we need it, you know. And the reason why that was put there was because back in the day when Scott and I were road commissioner, we'd have, say, Joe Schmo's pit down the road, put a bid on it, you know, they could get us 3,000 yards, but they probably weren't gonna be able to give us any more after that, because it was a fall time thing. The pits that we're dealing with now are usually year-round. So, I don't, but, I mean, if we do 5,000, I guess we'd be safe. I can't imagine using
I
more
don't
than
know.
5,000 yards. So,
Hope not.
especially with the amount of salt we use now, I wouldn't think so, so,
Who got the contract last year?
Landscape Depot.
Oh, okay, so it tends to be sort of local pit owners?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, 'cause, you know, the trucking
That's what you
costs
would
of getting
think,
them out of
yeah.
town. and-
Yeah, okay.
So am I leaving it that way, or am I just saying the town of Acton is soliciting bids for 3/8 inch, and then I can say, you know, on the average, we use 3,000 to 4,000, just, because they're gonna want some idea.
Up
I
to
would say,
5,000.
Up to 5,000.
Yeah,
They want to leave it the way it is, change the number to 5,000.
Yes.
And let me just review the list, so I don't have to call you guys. Seth McCoy, Dayton Sand and Gravel, Matthew Pepin, Landscapers Depot, Monarch Mountain, Carroll Material, those are the ones we did in 21. Any additions?
yeah, I'll put Curtis Sand and Gravel on there.
Yeah.
And they're in Acton?
Yeah.
Yes.
does that represent all the pit owners in town?
All the ones we usually bid out to.
The major.
You know, you might wanna try, the one over there on Goose Pond Road.
Oh, what do they call themselves? Goose Pond Sand and Gravel?
Goose Pond, it's,
Oh, is it Ready Mix or something?
Northeast Ready Mix.
Okay.
They got a big pile of sand down there.
Yep.
Just a thought, when we met with Shapley,
Yeah.
and we talked about doing joint bidding and procurement, this may be an area
Well,
that we,
this won't work there, cause they have their own sand pit.
okay, all right.
Yeah, they don't
So we
put their
can't
sand
do
out to
that.
bid.
Oh, they have their own, it's run by the town?
Yeah.
Would they be a source for this?
No,
No,
they don't sell outsource.
they don't sell, okay. All right,
Good thought, though. I mean, I know we had talked about trying to,
yeah,
The salt,
Yep.
you know, salt, but they probably go through the cog like we do, so.
okay, all right. All right, anything else on that, Jennifer?
No, I'll take
Thank you,
care of it.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Executive session, we're gonna hold on this until we get through any future items here? Great. Let's go through the pending, I think the public comment probably ought to wait until the end. Let's go through the pending items first.
Okay.
Town Hall Water RFP,
That's due next week.
due next week, yeah? So that's just a note that it's,
Yeah,
yes,
just when the
okay,
RFP is
that's
due.
fine. Town report letter due August 19th. Hope we're all busy writing. Okay.
None.
Huh?
I have none.
You have none, okay. New Bridge fence, you still haven't got the
No,
signature
sir.
from the
Sign
owner?
the,
Interesting.
Sign the certified, and
Adam, have you seen the individual up there on New Bridge at all?
I've seen him, but I haven't talked to him about it.
Put a-
Assuming he had already
Yeah.
said it sounded like
Just
he
a-
had it for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Just a simple inquiry,
check with him.
yeah, an innocent inquiry would be helpful.
Yeah.
Rec parking lot, awaiting driveway permit.
yep. So
Still,
it's out, so we just have to
wait
wait
for the
for him
oh, you
to,
mailed it to the state?
Yeah.
Oh,
so this is regarding the road access across the street?
well, to see if they'll give them a permit for.
To make sure, even, and
Yeah.
it may have a permit from way back, whether or
Right.
not it's
Yep.
still usable or not.
We've had a lot of discussion about the size of the lot and so on. I'd love your thoughts about, hiring a site engineer to come in and take a look at the lot and sort of make some recommendations on the sizing and any of the, you know.
We're really gonna have to start doing that, for there's so many variables that, the problem we have is without having an actual engineered site plan, it's almost impossible to send out a bid package.
Okay.
Because what we're doing is saying, okay, hey, I want a 100 by 125 foot parking lot. It's not giving elevations, grades, you know, so that, you know, when I do an estimate, I look at a set of plans, I can figure out my yardage, you know, everything off a set of plans, and it really doesn't really make sense to, just put out a thing saying, hey, build me a parking lot, because somebody else's idea is gonna be a lot different than another person's idea.
Okay.
I think it's really something we ought to be doing.
So we need an RFP to bring someone in?
Yeah, well, we gotta, I don't know how you don't really put an RFP off, for an engineer, I don't think. I mean, I think what we do is we contact them, get some, I don't know how you'd get prices on an engineer. Cause I think we have to find an engineer anyways for the,
Right.
for the building, for out here. So, I mean, I think what we ought to do is, I
I
don't
think
deal
you
with
can do an
this.
RFP for it, where they can submit their qualifications, their pricing basis, maybe not, obviously, we're not looking for a price yet for this or for that, but I think we need to open it up and make sure that we've considered a reasonable number of qualified engineers to come in.
Yeah, cause you're gonna go from, site planning
Yeah.
to architectural,
Yeah.
it could be all kinds of different stuff.
There was as an example, there was a firm that had just by
Just-
chance had sent, maybe it wasn't by chance, but had sent in something about their.
Yeah, just what they offered and asked us to keep them in
And it
mind.
looked like exactly what we were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's always great to ask our neighbors whether or not if they have someone.
I know Shapley had an engineer that they used.
Couple.
Yeah, can we just call around and see if they have someone, if they're comfortable with and happy with? That's a good place to start.
Yeah, a couple different towns, see who they're using.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay, I'm gonna go through the announcements, and I think and then we can do the public, no, let's do the public comment now. Any public comment? Okay,
Announcements after we come out of the executive session.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'll handle the announcements after executive session. So we'll go into executive session, we'll come back out, we'll open up the meeting, I'll read the announcement, we'll give maybe a brief update on the executive session that's suitable for public consumption, and then we'll adjourn, okay? So.
Make a motion that we go into executive session 405 6A1, personnel matter, land use secretary.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay.
All right.
Hey.
We all set? I'll make a motion that we come out of executive session 405 6A1, personnel matter, land use secretary.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay. We had an opportunity to meet in executive session to review the status of the land use secretary position. You recall at the last meeting, we reported that we had authorized to move forward with candidate A and try to secure that individual for this position. She has withdrawn her candidacy, has found employment elsewhere, so that candidate is no longer available to us. We had an opportunity to talk about the position and what our next steps might be. And I think in all likelihood, we're going to end up with an executive session probably next week to be able to talk further about this. I think each of the selectmen, given that discussion, we have some thoughts about that, and asked Jennifer to give some thoughts about whether there may be opportunities to sort of look at that position and other needs we have within town hall and think about how we might move forward. That pretty much cover it, folks?
Yep, sounds
Okay.
good. Do you want to go through the announcements?
Oh, yeah, have you got that there? Would you
I
mind
do.
doing them?
I'll do them.
Thank you.
That's fine. Yep. So on August 17th, there's a select board meeting at 6 PM. Also the public hearing for the town meeting vote to talk about that. August 18th, we have a planning board at 6 PM. The 21st, we have a rec committee at 9 AM. 22nd, warrant and finance committee at 6 PM. August 28th, we have a Mary Grant Committee meeting at 2 PM, and on the 31st, we have a Select Board meeting.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.